rise and shine. It's a brand new day with Mo and News. It's time to have your say. She's got the scoop, the stories, all the latest trends. Mo's got the news, let's hear it. My dear friends, from politics to showbiz, no story's too small. Mo covers it all. She's got the inside call, her voice so smooth, like honey in the summer sun. With Mo on the mic, you know the news is always fun. Mornings with Mo, the best newsy news in the world. With her style so classic and her stories unfurled, from morning till night, she's got us in the know. Turn on your radio, let Mo's newsy news flow.
Good morning, everyone. It is the 22nd of August, and we have some crazy news stories for you. It is absolutely nutty. We have all the stories. Thank you, Wolfram, for doing your mod thing. And thank you, Greedy Bloke, for joining us this morning. Our first story is, well, you may have had a not so great Wednesday, but I think these guys had a worst one. Panicked hikers scramble down a mountain as they try to escape a volcano erupting in Indonesia. These are the hikers, and here's, well, a cloud of death. I mean, look, I have just recently been very excited that I can go back hiking, but let me explain to you places Mo will not be hiking with her newfound freedom. Oh, an active volcano. I mean, are we devolving into basically red shirts from Star Trek? Like the people that we just end up are not smart enough to live past the opening scene? I mean, call me crazy, but volcano hiking, not my jam. But let's get into this story. Panicked hikers were caught on video scrambling down the side of an Indonesian volcano that suddenly erupted in front of them, sending a plume of ash thousands of feet into the air. In the stunning footage captured by a government drone earlier this month, it shows a group of about a dozen hikers cresting the rim of Mount Ducano when the mammoth, gas plume and ash thing just decides to go up. I mean, that's like if you're hiking on Mount St. Helens after, you were told to leave the area. I kind of feel like this is who could have seen that coming? They quickly started to rappel down the side of the steep cone, dropping quickly in a mad dash for their lives. Now, miraculously, everyone survived this adventure, according to the Telegraph, but it could have been much worse. Yeah, ask Pompeii and Herculaneum. Ask, it could have been worse. This sounds like the start of every, sequel for a horror franchise. Well, that could have been worse. And then everyone looks around at that one character and they're like, why? As it turns out, the group disregarded a ban on them entering particularly dangerous zones on the mountain. Huh. My shock. Indonesia's National Disaster Agency had warned people not to climb this particular volcano, which had been erupting continuously since 1930 because of increased volcanic activity. It's, if only they'd had a warning. Even warning labels won't save us. Quote, the general public is not advised to climb or visit Mount Ducano as volcanic activity is still high at the moment, said the head for the Center of Volcanology and Geology Disaster Mitigation. before adding that authorities banned people from coming within 2 miles of the crater. I mean, they were just a scotch in bounds. They were just a scotch out of bounds. The climbers went anyway, and the mountain repaid their curiosity in kind. Indonesia, which sits along the Pacific Ocean's Ring of Fire, is a hotbed for volcanic activity and has about 120 active volcanoes. So the moral of this story, children, is that if the government maybe tells you, "Hey, active volcano, don't go," and you say, "YOLO," get yourself out. We are spending no taxpayer money to get you out if you went full YOLO and FAFO. I mean, there you go. In the team which powers Lord Chippy, we have someone to meet you because this must be avenged in Minecraft. Allegedly, your YouTube godness, but this absolutely burns my biscuits. A beloved Seattle dog walker who was 80 years old was unalived in broad daylight during a carjacking before an eight-time felon fatally stabbed her dog. I can't. I'm done. That's it. Directly into the sun, Lord Chippy, all of it. No, absolutely not. Uh, Extra slow, extra tiresome. No. An eight-time Seattle felon allegedly carjacked and unalived a beloved 80-year-old dog walker in broad daylight on Tuesday before he also unalived her dog. I mean, what kind of evil are you that you go after old women and animals? Just absolutely wrong. Jahmed Hames, 48, is suspected of carjacking Ruth Dalton, 80 years old. I mean, look at this woman. She is just a woman who loves doggos. I bet she has a bunch of treats in that little fanny pack, and she was just, the best dog grandma ever. Ugh. Now, so he tried to carjack her at the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Way, which irony is lost, and East Harris Street in the Valley neighborhood, 2.8 miles northwest of downtown Seattle, just before 10 a.m. on Tuesday. SPD Deputy Chief Eric Barden said that Haynes gotten into the passenger side of Dalton's blue Subaru and attempted to push her outside the driver's door while at least two dogs were inside the vehicle. Now, she was dragged outside during her struggle with this felon, but he veered off the road, striking planters and a patch of grass. Citizens stopped their car to try to assist this older woman. Uh, One of the citizens came up to the car to engage with a suspect when Haynes produced a knife. The witness backed off and grabbed a large stick or bat to confront the carjacker. Haynes reversed the vehicle into two parked cars where Dalton was run over and just run over and left on the streets because he's an absolute piece of human garbage, allegedly not adjudicated as such as of yet. Haynes fled the seat in Dalton's car as witnesses attempted to save her life. Dalton was remembered as a lovely neighbor following her death. She was someone that people really loved. She's been a neighborhood fixture in Madison Park neighborhood for a long time, said Susan Lindsay, Dalton's friend. She's going to be missed, and people really loved her. I hope she's at peace. We all loved her. Everyone loves her, and I know she's looking down. Melanie Roberts, Dalton's granddaughter, told the outlet. She was feisty. It doesn't surprise me in the least that she would at least try to make sure her clients' dogs were safe. She wouldn't have thought 2 seconds about herself. At around 3 p.m. Tuesday, police received a report of a man hurting a dog at Brighton Playfield in Hillman City neighborhood, approximately 5.5 miles from where the carjacking had occurred. An animal control officer was dispatched and found a dog stabbed to death. I mean, do we even have to do jail time for this dude? I mean, I know I'm supposed to be the voice of somewhat reason, but I'm kind of all out of reason today. No. The dog's collar indicated that he had belonged to Dalton. The family identified the dog as one of Dalton's named Prince, and I bet he was unalived because he tried to protect his mom. Just absolute. Oh heck no! This is Prince. We are f- we are all getting in Mama Mo's 10-passenger van because we've got some things to do in Portland, y'all. Hell no. I was thinking Prince was a Doberman. No, y'all, chat field trip. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't joke about that. YouTube's gonna be like, you're inciting things. I'm like, did you see a picture of this doggo? Anywho, Seattle police arrested Haynes and started an investigation into homicide and animal cruelty. Police are unsure how Haynes escaped from the Brighton playfield, where they found both the car abandoned with a crashed windshield and damage to the rear. Detectives later connected Hayes to both crimes using fingerprints discovered on Dalton's phone. A SWAT team arrested the suspected unaliver in his residence in Capitol Hill. Following the arrest, police recovered a bloody knife and keys from the stolen vehicle. He was booked into King County Correctional Facility. Homicide detectives are expected to request charges for murder in the first degree under the felony murder rule and animal cruelty in the first degree. Now, here's where we start worrying more about the criminal. Hayes has a history of mental health concerns. Good morning, Tamara. He was convicted of vehicular homicide and hit and run in 1993, pled guilty to controlled substances on a school ground charge in 1995, and was convicted of first degree robbery in 1999. His most recent arrest was in 2005 for an undisclosed case, according to Barden. Wolfram, I'm with you. This is we need justice. Wolfram and Moe going around the country solving the world's injustice against doggos. In well, he ran pretty far, but Chicago's where they got him. A Mississippi inmate apparently found work at a Chicago restaurant, then barricaded himself in there when he was found to be, an inmate that ran away. Authorities have captured Joshua Zimmerman, a Mississippi inmate who escaped 2 months ago and barricaded himself in a Chicago restaurant where he had apparently found a job. The U.S. Marshal Service said on Wednesday. Now, no other details are immediately released about Zimmerman's capture or whether he was armed or if anyone was injured. Zimmerman, who was wanted on several charges in at least 3 states, barricaded himself Tuesday at a seafood restaurant just blocks from where the DNC convention was taking place, the U.S. Marshal Service said. Zimmerman, 30, escaped June 14th from DeSoto County, Mississippi jail, where he was being held for armed robbery and attempted murder, the Marshal Service said in a statement Tuesday. DeSoto County is in northwest Mississippi, about 25 miles south of Memphis. Yes, absolutely, Tamara. I'm getting a little tired of us letting people free early for good time, and then they manage to not be able to remain good timers out in public. It's shocking. It's almost like some people cannot be expected to follow the laws of society that we have all agreed on, so they have to stay in a place separate from society. It's a new concept I'm coming up with. I think I'll call it Yale or Prison. I don't know. We're workshopping it. Who knows? It's not clear how or why Zimmerman traveled to Chicago or whether he knew people in the area. He was just going to be Tiffany Henyard's new co-counsel. That's all. Uh, but U.S. Marshal investigators recently developed information that Zimmerman was in Chicago and sent a collateral lead to the Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force, who positively identified Zimmerman in a seafood restaurant and the 2300 block of Madison Street, where he was believed to be working. During the arrest attempt, Zimmerman retreated into the ceiling and barricaded himself. It's a bold strategy. They've never gotten anyone out of a ceiling. I say keep going for it. Uh, the big issue was the restaurant's close proximity to the site of the Democratic National Convention. However, there was no connection or threat that they are telling us happened because of this incident. Now, we are not sure whether he has obtained a new attorney for this, escape charges, or whether he has an attorney representing him for the armed robbery attempted murder charges that he ran away from. DeSoto County court records show that Zimmerman was arrested on suspicion of robbery and attempted murder on September 29th, 2023 in South Haven, Mississippi. Earlier that month, Zimmerman was charged but never arrested on suspicion of felony murder in Harris County, Texas, for allegedly shooting and unaliving a woman at a Houston motel, according to an arrest warrant filed September 5th, 2023. How are you charged but not arrested for suspicion of felony murder? I mean, I figure that's something you can't just, go to civil, like pay a tax, pay a ticket for, but okay. Interesting. Texas. Didn't expect that from you. He's also wanted in Connecticut for failing to appear on December 2022 court hearing related to felony SA. Well, he's just the Johnny Appleseed of crimes. He's just planting felonies wherever he goes. Zimmerman has been known to use aliases and fake forms of identification. Good morning, Alice G. and Audio Coffee. He checked in to a Houston hotel under the alias Vincent Guarino Giuliano, and he's also used the name Jamie Quintana. So there you go. He is the Johnny Appleseed of crime, just planting felonies wherever he goes, but still not as good as Carmen Sandiego at escaping. You have goals. In a continuing story, this is still really big news. The yacht that capsized, leaving 6 dead and 1 still missing. And this story is fairly big because it's odd that a lot of people connected to maybe fraud, big financial issues, maybe, crimes, if you will, that they maybe just got released on, seemed to have a really bad time on this cruise. The massive super yacht that sank off the coast of Italy Monday won numerous awards for its sleek interior design. Well, I'm sure the interior design wasn't float worthy, so there you go. Now, it was sold to its original owner for nearly $40 million. The luxury ship was carrying 22 people when it capsized and sank during a fierce storm early Monday morning. The bodies of 5 of 6 missing passengers, including British tech tycoon Michael Lynch, 69, and his daughter Hannah, have been recovered. The ship's chef, Ricardo Thomas, has also been confirmed dead. Divers are continuing to search the wreckage of the 184-foot British flag vessel, previously called the Salute, on Wednesday after discovering 4 bodies. It was built in 2008 and had the tallest aluminum mast in the world, standing 237 feet tall, earning it an award for Best Interior Designing and Styling at World's Super Yacht Awards 2009. I didn't even know we had a super yacht. Oh, well, that's because you guys are in the future, and I didn't know that. I just need to go to Australian news. They'll have all the stories scooped before we even know about them. I've figured it out. The sprawling super yacht's interior was decorated with sleek, minimalistic furnishings created by Remy Tressler. He's also won many, many awards. I've never been in the market for a yacht, so I'll just take their word for it. The ship is generally supposed to just accommodate 12 guests. It has a master bedroom. Oh, this is just selling you this daggone yacht. I am not reading you product placement for a yacht that well capsized. That seems like me offering you tickets to this, great idea I have. It's a ship called the Titanic. Obviously, it was a very ritzy yacht, and it didn't happen. I will definitely look at that one, Jedi Jess. Dang it. Nuts. Well, I guess I won't be buying my own yacht, considering I I think I speak for all of latchkey children from the early 90s when I say that Jaws maybe made me terrified of the ocean, and then Deep Blue kind of finished that off. I was like, "Yeah, there's probably a company making super smart sharks. I will stay out of the ocean." And then Titanic happened, and I just wanted Celine Dion to stop. In well, let's Defense attorneys for the Boston Marathon bomber are seeking recusal of the judge overseeing his case. It is hard to believe that we are still dealing with this case so many years post the actual, Boston Marathon tragedy. But like it or lump it, we have to have due process. We have to go through, the appellate process and everything like that. If justice has to work for this absolute human dirtbag, it's supposed to work for us as well. So we have to do all of these safeguards, but sometimes it gets exhausting waiting for due process to finish. Attorneys for the Boston Marathon bomber, Sarnev, are seeking to remove the judge overseeing the protracted legal battle over his death sentence. His lawyers said during a hearing in federal court in Boston on Wednesday that U.S. District Court Judge George O'Toole should be recused from the case, pointing to what they said were comments O'Toole made about the case on podcasts and at public events during the appeals process. Ooh. Yep, I get you. Prosecutors said they are not opposed to a hearing on the issue, but said that they believe the motion is meritless. O'Toole scheduled a hearing on the recusal request for next month, and Sarnov was not in court. I want to dispose of that issue immediately, not one way or another, O'Toole said. During the hearing, O'Toole also said all future filings connected to the case are to be done under seal to protect the integrity of the process. O'Toole said he wanted to protect the privacy of two jurors as he tried to determine if they were biased during the 2015 trial. He ordered prosecutors and defense attorneys not to contact the juries or jurors during the review, and both teams have agreed to the condition. They are citizens and deserve to be respected, O'Toole had said. A victim of the bombing, Mikey Beauregard, attended Wednesday's hearing. Beauregard said he was walking home from work on the day of the marathon when the explosives exploded. He suffered both hearing loss and forms of traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. I am not sure. I was 21 when the marathon happened. I'm 33 now. This has been a very, very long process, and I kind of wish it was over, said Beauregard, who wears hearing aids. Despite his injuries, Beauregard says he opposes capital punishment. I very strongly oppose the death penalty, and that's across the board. It does not matter who you are. I think the death penalty is inhumane, he said. It's essentially an eye for an eye, and that's a very old way of looking at things. I have some thoughts, but you know, an eye for an eye was old and brutal, but we didn't see repeat offenders. They were radicalized. So I believe his family came over from the either Bosnia or Chechnya, and we gave them refuge. His older brother got very radicalized by ISIS. It's been a while since I've looked up this case, so um, they basically used pressure cookers and science. Look, there was a reason we went away from the eye for an eye and went to due process. But sometimes when you're dealing with escape from LA every daggone day, you're kinda like, they didn't have recidivism though, which, I mean, listen. Uh, the Federal Appeals Court in March ordered O'Toole to investigate the defense's claim of juror bias in order to determine whether Sarnov's death sentence could stand following his conviction for his role in the bombing that killed 3 people and injured hundreds near the marathon's finish line in 2013. If O'Toole finds that jurors should have been disqualified, he should vacate Sarnov's sentence, hold a new penalty phase trial to determine whether he should again be sentenced to death, the appellate court said. In 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated the death sentence imposed on Sarnov after the First Circuit threw out the sentence in 2020. The circuit court found that the trial judge did not sufficiently question jurors about their exposure to extensive news coverage of the, event. The Supreme Court justices voted 6-3 in 2022 when they ruled that the First Circuit's decision was wrong. The First Circuit took another chance at the case after Sarnov's lawyers urged it to examine issues that the Supreme Court didn't consider. Among them was whether the trial judge wrongfully forced the trial to be held in Boston and wrongly denied the defense challenges to seating 2 jurors that they said lied during questioning. Sarnov's guilt in the deaths of those killed in the bombings was not at issue in the appeal. The defense lawyers have argued that Sarnov had fallen under the influence of his older brother, Tamarin, who died in a force multiplier battle with police officers a few days after the bombing. Sarnov was convicted of all 30 charges against him, including conspiracy and use of a weapon of mass destruction, and the killing of Massachusetts Institute of Technology police officer Sean Kohler during the Sarnov brothers' getaway attempt. So, this has been a long case coming, and I think that there needs to be a look at how circuit courts, how appellate courts can go about things, how defense lawyers can appeal things. I think that there needs to be a more streamlining of it, regardless of how you feel about the death penalty. I know people have very strong, passionate feelings about that, but this is absolutely, y- you know, this is absolutely torturous for the victims, for the survivors to have to wait years and years and years, and then the constant flip-flopping from the appellate court to the Supreme Court. I can't imagine having to deal with that, never knowing, what this sentence is actually going to be, possibly being called to testify, relive all of this in front of court. It's just it cannot be what we would strive for in a functional judiciary. In good news, the Burger King cook, Kevin Ford, who received a mediocre and lackluster gift after never missing a day of work in 27 years, has started a new culinary adventure. The Nevada Burger King cook who received a measly gift from management for his nearly 30 years of fast food service without ever missing a day is starting a new venture in the culinary industry. Kevin Ford plans to open a food truck with his daughter after he received more than $400,000 from a campaigned fundraiser over his viral story, according to TMZ. Ford struck international fame in 2022 when his Burger King supervisors at the Las Vegas McLaren International Airport celebrated his 27th anniversary with the fast food joint with a random assortment of gifts. Ford was handed a backpack with a movie ticket, a Starbucks cup, a mix of candy and chocolate for his nearly 3 decades of service. True. His daughter Serena wasn't so pleased with her father's bosses and created a GoFundMe to show her love for the man she said helped put his four daughters through high school and college because of his dedication to the chain. He originally began working at this job as a single father when he gained custody of me and my older sister 27 years ago, Serena wrote back in 2022. Then, as our family grew and he remarried, he continued to work there because of the amazing health insurance that was provided through his employer because it was unionized. This got all of his four daughters through high school and college with full health care coverage. The fundraiser has since made $459,800, well over the initial $200 goal. Ford purchased a black and silver food truck from China for roughly $20,000. The kitchen on wheels comes fully equipped with the works that includes an oven and fryer. The exterior is adorned with a giant Y27Y, a tribute to his viral fame, Kevin 27 years. Interesting. I mean, way to go, way to put his passion and invest in himself. The Burger King employee and his daughter, who was trained at French culinary school Le Cordon Bleu, will begin with a basic menu consisting of hamburgers and hot dogs. Ford told the outlet he wanted to add Filipino dishes to the menu to offer his Filipina fiance. As he begins his entrepreneurship, Ford remains a dedicated worker at Burger King, but plans to retire in May 2025, his 30th anniversary with the company. The purchase of the new mobile dining establishment comes a month after Ford bought his first home thanks to the money raised through GoFundMe. He closed on the Pahrump, Nevada home on December 13th, 2023, paying $177,000 for the three-bedroom, two-bathroom house. So, absolutely wonderful that he's paying it forward. And dang it, you would have gotten all the onion rings and zesty sauce that you could have ever wanted. So that's great. I wish him luck. I think he has the entrepreneurial spirit and dedication to hard work and family, and I hope his food truck takes off. Me too. That would be hilarious. Better than Burger King. Well, something I will probably never be, a serial hacker who created a fake death certificate to skirt $116,000 in child support is headed to prison. Well, I mean, it almost worked. I guess he uh his computer wasn't Y2K compliant. That was the problem. He got one of those neon colored Dells. That was the issue. A federal judge sentenced a 39-year-old Kentucky man to 81 months, 6 years, and 9 months in prison for faking his own death to avoid paying over $100,000 in child support. Jesse Kimpf pled guilty in April to hacking into the state's database to create a fake death certificate so he would be officially listed as a dead man. Prosecutors in a sentencing memo called Kiff a serial hacker who infiltrates or protected computer networks with abandon. He's caused significant damage, both monetarily and in the form of technological responses to his corporate and governmental victims, prosecutors wrote, by attempting to delete himself off of off of, you know, the mortal coil or the digital coil to avoid child support obligation. The defendant continues to re-victimize his daughter and her mother, who are owed more than $116,000 in child support obligations. Prosecutors argued that the harsh prison sentence would send a message to other potential hackers who may want to try to fake their own death. I mean, call me crazy, but is this a situation that happens often? Are we having like 12 of these a year? 15? I mean, how many hackers are. Yeah, absolutely. And dude, you have a daughter, support her. You don't have to deal with a mom, but at least be a stand-up dude. Operating criminal enterprises online generates a distance between the perpetrator and victims, so much so that taking advantage of of members of others can feel illusionary or can seem like you're just playing a video game. This detachment breeds lack of sympathy, which encourages hackers to continue to engage in criminal behavior. Kiff's attorney, in their sentencing memo, says he suffers from paranoid delusions and schizophrenic tendencies, which led to the downfall of his marriage and sent him down a path of criminal behavior. He also served in the military and was deployed in Afghanistan for about a year. His lawyers said that the trauma he suffered during the war furthered his addiction to not street legal pharmaceuticals. However, the prosecutors were not dealing with these excuses. This scheme was a cynical, destructive effort based in part with the inexcusable goal of avoiding his child support obligations. Carlton S. Shiver, the fifth U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Kentucky, said in a statement, "This case is a stark reminder of how damaging criminals with computers can be and how critically important computer and online security is to all of us." As we continue to put, everything we recently ate, talked about, thought, had a squirrel moment about on the internet, all under generally our own names. Does does anyone remember when the internet first came out and you weren't supposed to put any of your personal information because everyone was a creepy weirdo on the internet? And now we're like, "Oh my gosh, guys, do you wanna know what I ate and possibly what I'm thinking right now and where I am? And let me tag you, with my location. And, oh, my Garmin attaches to my phone so you can see how fast my heart rate is going." I mean, I'm just saying maybe we need to go back to the scary internet where we just assumed that it was a 40-year-old guy in the basement talking to us in chat rooms. I don't know. You know what, Jedi Jess, I think that dial-up noise was that reminder to us that the internet is a scary place because it was so disjointed and discordant that we all remembered to be a little smart on the internet. Bring back the dial-up noise. I think we all need to remember to plug in our safety cap when we go on the internet. Brian Kohlberger's in the news again. His defense cites Iowa's town's mob mentality in a bid for a venue change. Good old boy justice. Now, I will say that I don't think with the amount of media coverage that this man could go anywhere where you're going to find a jury that's never heard of this. I think with the advent of social media, with a 24-hour news cycle, you have to just do a better voir dire. You almost have to have people that are researching, these potential jurors, Facebook, social media. Elon Musk, we need space court. If we could make it space night court, I would volunteer because I love night court. Brian Koberger's defense team has filed another motion to have the trial moved from Lehigh County, citing mob mentality within the county where he allegedly stabbed four University of Idaho co-eds to death in their home. According to court documents filed on Monday and reviewed by Fox News Digital, Koberger's defense argues that pressure to convict the 29-year-old criminology PhD student is so intense that survey respondents said that the community would, quote unquote, these are their words, not mine, burn the courthouse down if he was acquitted. Quote, they would probably find him and shuffle him off this mortal coil, said one of the survey respondents. There would likely be a riot, and he wouldn't last long outside because someone would do good old boy justice, another respondent said. A third community member said that there would be riots if Koberger weren't convicted and the victim's parents would take care of him. The mob mentality within the community is the exact reason that statutory grounds prior to selecting the jury exist to move the venue, Koberger's defense wrote in the filing. Given these responses from potential jurors in Moscow and the state's acknowledgement that a remedy is needed for a jury to be selected, the state recognizes the obvious, an enormous venue problem. Do I get access to sending people to Snake Island and or the sun? Because yes and yes. Or any use of ISO cubes and placards, shameful placards. I am there. I will do it, even though I am terrified that we'll probably find a xenomorph. The defense further argued that jurors would be biased by media coverage of the event, which is the most consequential media event that's ever happened in this county. According to the filing, there are at least 13,000 media stories covering the November 2022 slayings. The massacre killed 21-year-olds Madison Mogan and Kaylee Goncalves, along with 20-year-olds Zaina Kernoodle and Ethan Chapin. All four suffered multiple wounds from a large knife, according to authorities. The media coverage inundating this county does not tell citizens that no evidence has been presented at this time, that there are no facts on the record at this time, that Brian Koberger is innocent, that only a jury decides what the facts are and whether the facts show beyond a reasonable doubt that a person is guilty, the defense team wrote. The team goes on to argue that there's precedent of changing venue in high-profile Idaho cases, including the double murder trials of Idaho's cult mom, Lori Vallow, and Chad Daybell. They were also moved out of the county they originally were happened in, I guess, populated in. I haven't seen the new one. The last Alien hybrid I saw was from Alien Resurrection, and that thing is monster fuel. Alien Resurrection is monster fuel. I believe EU is covering it, and has been covering it for a while. I have not started covering it. It seemed like one of the bigger cases, and with my limited time, I didn't know if I would be able to give it justice. But I know that EU has been covering it, of I think the kind of smaller group. Idaho prosecutors have formally objected to Koberger's motion to change venue, per filing a signed, motion with prosecutor Bill Thompson and special assistant attorney Ingrid Batley. The defendant has filed a motion to change venue, requesting that the trial is moved from this county where the offenses took place to Ada County, some 300 miles away, they wrote. To support his motion, he conducted a survey of prospective jurors in the current county, Ada County, Canyon County, and Bannock County. The findings of that survey, they argued, did not justify the move. Far from demonstrating that Lehigh County jury pool was uniquely subjected to utterly corrupted environment, as the defendant argues in his brief, the data showed that pervasive wide-range coverage of this case throughout the entire state of Idaho has led to high case recognition among survey respondents across all four surveyed counties. Prosecutors took issue with the defense survey of potential jurors, arguing that it does not reflect a non-bias or a non-response bias, and polled residents were not given an explanation for what the survey was even about. This court must ask itself, would an individual who has asked for their opinion about an upcoming trial continue a survey if they had no opinions about the upcoming trial? And once the survey started, would a prudent, thoughtful, conscientious person who is reluctant to pass judgment with limited offer information opine to a stranger whether they believed a criminal, what and a criminally accused person is guilty of murder? Prosecutors using way too much logic, but I do think that there may be time or an instant in the coming years where we are going to need to maybe pull from the Amish. Good morning, Sophia Starlin. We're going to have to pull the Mennonite community for jury duty, or we're going to have to, just absolutely come up with a different way to gather who is biased or have an entire department looking into jurors' backgrounds and what they think. Because I think with the 24-hour news cycle, with the advent of, modern media and different things, true crime, YouTube, there are not even small, bizarre stories can blow up because of, general just dispersed interest. And I don't think this is something that's going to be going away in the coming years. I'm not a legalologist, so I don't know how you would fix this, but I do think that this is going to becoming a bigger problem with more high profile cases as we go. Trial analysis experts. Oh my gosh. I'm adding that to my LinkedIn that I don't have. In what the actual breaking my bingo card, did not have this on anything 2024. An accused serial unaliver dubbed the vampire and suspected of unaliving 42 women. Well, he escapade, if you will. A Kenyan serial killer dubbed a vampire and suspected of unaliving 42 women has escaped from custody with 12 other detainees, officials said Tuesday. Mohammed Amin, head of the nation's Directorate of Criminal Investigations, said Colin Jumansi Kashula of Kenya and other suspects from Eritrea had been allowed to escape from Nairobi's Guguri police station with the help of 8 officers, including the station commanders. I see they're working on the trust and honor system. This is great. Officials claim the inmates cut through wire mesh in their cells and scaled a perimeter wall, with top brass learning of the escape when officers went to the cells to serve them breakfast. Our preliminary investigations indicate that the escape was aided by insiders, considering that officers were deployed according to the guard at the station. This was a high-value suspect who was ready to face serious charges, Amin said of Kashula, who was 33, and the police have described him as a vampire and a sociopath. We're investigating the incident and will take action accordingly. The breakout occurred after officials were ordered him to remain under police custody for another week as detectives continued to investigate 42 homicides that are linked to him. No, I have not. I'll have to look at that. Kashula was arrested in July after authorities were made aware of the discovery of 10 mutilated bodies inside a quarry in Nairobi's Kawere neighborhood. Officials claimed that Kashala confessed to not only unaliving those 10 women, but 32 others within a span of 2 years, with the first victim actually being his missing wife. When he was initially taken into custody, he was described as psychopathic, a serial killer who has no respect for human life. Yeah, I'm sure you don't need to add any extra guards to watch him. I'm sure that's a nah. Sure he'll be fine. Commandant Moneybags is gonna keep an eye on him. Kosciuszko's lawyer, John Mania Deguala, previously told reporters that his client was innocent and that his confession was made after he was maybe not treated so kindly by the police. Niguala said that he had last spoke to his client Friday when the court ordered him to be held for 7 more days, with the lawyer baffled over the prison break. I am so confused by this news, he told the Associated Press. 8 officers accused of helping this inmate and other inmates escaping are facing disciplinary measures. Well, I'm sure this will go in their permanent record. I mean, you couldn't get one maybe private security officer, just one. You're in countries in an area that may have a little tiny scotch of a problem with, corruption, and you didn't think, it'll be fine. In whenever you're having a bad day, at least you're not this guy, because again, another headline that nearly broke me, and more for, oh my God, this would be my worst, most terrifying thing that ever happened. An elderly doctor couldn't hear patients screaming during a colonoscopy because he wasn't wearing his hearing aids, a board finds. You know, if you're going to be doing a surgery on me when I'm slightly awake, could you possibly put the earbuds in for me so you can hear me? An elderly Tampa gastroenterologist is on probation after he failed to hear a patient screaming during a colonoscopy. Why is he only on probation if he no, no, get someone new. What is this with not passing the torch? If you are an octogenarian, get out. We love you, we appreciate your service, but we've got a sprightly young 60-year-old that would like to take your place. Why are we being run by a gerontocracy? Dear Lord. After 34 years with a medical license, Dr. Isharwa Prasad was placed on probation by the Medical Board of Florida after a complaint accused him of medical malpractice, citing 2 procedures at the Ambulatory Surgical Center in Tampa on June 2023, in which he, quote, failed to effectively communicate with his team and patients because he wasn't wearing his required hearing aids. Yeah. Did I mean, did no one take the hose out of his hand or the camera? I'm just asking. During one colonoscopy, the gastroenterologist began inserting the scope before the patient was fully sedated. The patient started yelling and I'm sure flailing, but he was not he, the doctor did not immediately stop the procedure because he couldn't hear the poor man screaming his head off. In October 10th, 2023 complaint says. The 9-page complaint accuses Dr. Prasad of falling below minimum prevailing professional standards of care. During one or both procedures, the surgical team was unable to effectively communicate with the doctor, the complaint states. If the doctor is unable to effectively communicate with their team without wearing a hearing aid, the minimum prevailing professional standard of care requires the physician to use an assistive hearing device during the procedure. I'm thinking shaky hands. I mean, I'm worried if you won't hear me in the operating room where no one can hear you scream. Blumhouse, I have some ideas. Call me. Call me. And during another procedure, Dr. Prasad improperly delegated portions of the colonoscopy to a surgical tech who lacked medical license. Well, I mean, I'm sure they've watched him play with the little, ropey camera. They can figure it out. He's like, have you played Minesweeper? Then you too can be a colonoscopy tech. What is going on here? The surgical tech was asked to insert the scope, manipulate the scope, and manipulate the snare over polyps, remove polyps, which are all not her job or their job. The state's Board of Medicine ordered on August 7th, 2024, that Dr. Prasad's license be placed on probation, prohibiting him from performing any gastroenterology procedures without a supervisor present. He was also fined $7,500 and ordered to pay $6,301 in board administrative costs. On top of this, the physician must complete 5 hours of continuing medical education course in laws, rules, and ethics within the year. Or we could just say, sir, we appreciate that you have been working so long in this field and you are a wealth of knowledge, but you can no longer have a license. It- Okay. Um, well, she's a ride or die mom, and it is Florida woman. I know you guys aren't going to be shocked, but Florida woman. I mean, a Florida mom, is arrested for allegedly joining her daughter's bus stop fist fight in a video. Well, the family that throws down together stays together. I don't know. It's live, laugh, fight your child's fights, keep calm, mom on. What are we doing here? A bus stop face-off between two high school students in Florida took an unexpected turn when the mother of one of the students allegedly decided to join the fray. According to Flagler County Sheriff's Office, deputies were called to a bus stop in Dayton, North Florida on August 15th after friendship fallout from the summer months began to spill over into the school year. At the bus stop, two teenage girls hopped off the bus and mutually agreed to fight each other. Bring back dueling fields. The fight, which was captured on video and shared by the sheriff's office, showed the moment when the fight took an unexpected turn when one of the mothers got involved. In the video, 34-year-old Catherine Stephan- Stephanopoulos jumps into the fracas and at one point has a child in a headlock. Yo, not the mom, one of the students is heard saying in the video. Team World Star, we have your new fighter. During the scuffle, police said that Stephanopoulos' daughter was starting a second fight with another child who attempted to break up the fist fight. Well, it's just a whole family of helpers. Once the fight was over, the juveniles began arguing with Stephanopoulos and then swung a metal cup, hitting the woman in the face. Did she just hit her with a Stanley cup? A student asked in cell phone video. Stanley cups, the all purpose urban weapon. Have we stopped to think about Stanley Cup safety? This is like the third news story that I've heard where someone gets beamed in the head by these absolute, urban assault weapons that are Stanley Cups. On Monday, Stephanopoulos was arrested and transported to the Sheriff Perry Hall inmate detention facility for her role in the fight. One of the juveniles was arrested for aggravated battery, while one misdemeanor charges against another juvenile were forwarded over to the state's attorney's office. Instead of de escalating the situation, we have a mother who joined in the fray, setting a bad example for her child and those at the bus stop. Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley said she won't receive Mother of the Year with her actions. Parents need to set an example, not be part of the problem. Lucky no one was seriously injured, but the mother is now facing serious charges for losing her temper. Well, I mean, bring back dueling fields, give everyone Nerf products, and let it happen. I mean, I don't know. In US hospitals, do better. Hospitals do better. In a heartbreaking story, a US hospital told a family that their daughter had checked out when in fact she had passed away. How do you mix that up? How do you do that? I, I mean, what in the actual heck? Jesse Peterson's family spent a year searching for her after they were told that she had checked herself out of a California hospital against medical advice before learning that she had been dead all this time. The 31-year-old died in the care of Mercy San Juan Medical Center in Sacramento in April of 2023. The hospital shipped her body to a storage facility and did not inform her mother or sisters. The family only learned her fate the following April after months of trying to find her, according to a civil lawsuit against the hospital. In the lawsuit filed earlier this month, the family described the hospital's conduct as both malicious and outrageous and accused the facility of negligence and negligent handling of a corpse and negligent infliction of emotional distress. Yeah, yeah, I'd be big hot mad. Mercy San Juan Hospital failed in its most fundamental duty to notify Jesse's family of her death, the lawsuit states. Mercy San Juan stored Jessie in an off-site warehouse morgue where she was left to decompose for nearly a year while her family relentlessly inquired about her whereabouts. Peterson, whom her family described in the lawsuit as loving and energetic, had type 1 diabetes. She was experiencing a diabetic episode when she was admitted to Mercy San Juan on the 6th of April 2023. Her mother, Ginger Coggy, stated that Peterson had called her 2 days later asking for a ride because she would be leaving the hospital, according to the lawsuit. The mother was later told that Peterson had left the hospital against medical advice and that her medical records indicated she was discharged on the 8th of April. After her sudden disappearance, the family spent months relentlessly searching for her, posting flyers, speaking to unhoused residents in the area, and contacting police and coroner's offices, according to the lawsuit. On the 12th of April, 2024, more than a year after Peterson was last seen, the Sacramento County Detective's Office informed the family that she had been found dead at Mercy San Juan, the suit indicates. According to her death certificate, which was completed in April 2024, Peterson died of cardiopulmonary arrest at age 31. Peterson's sister went to the coroner's office seeking her remains, but a worker told her that the office did not have Peterson's body and directed her to contact the hospital. Mercy San Juan was not responsive to efforts to contact them, according to a lawsuit. And a mortuary eventually informed Cogny that Peterson's body had been found in one of the hospital's off-site storage facilities. Unfortunately, her body was so decomposed that the family could not obtain her fingerprints or hold an open casket funeral. And an autopsy that could have indicated whether she had been, a victim of medical malpractice was rendered impossible. The defendant's failure to issue a timely certificate of death, failure to notify Jesse's next of kin, failure to allow an autopsy, and mishandling of Jesse's remains was negligent, careless, and heartless, this lawsuit states. Defendants violated their own promise of dignity and respect for the people in their care. Defendants' conduct was so egregious and malicious to shock the conscience, and punitive damages should be awarded. The family is seeking more than 5 million. Give them 100 and gajillion dollars of damages. Make them the board of the hospital. I mean, at this point, do not try to cover your behind, Mercy San Juan. Do not absolutely just pay this family because you have put them through hell, looking for their daughter, thinking something unimaginable happened to her, and you guys just lost her. Just absolutely gross. In our final story, well, they were just college students trying to help their, community out. College Town's police say they don't need help with a cleanup after a beer spill. I mean, many hands make light work, sharing is caring. How dare you, police officers? These are just community-minded children. A college town in Mississippi temporarily closed a street Wednesday after a delivery truck dropped dozens of cases of beer in the street. The spill happened in Oxford, home of the University of Mississippi. The Oxford Police Department posted photos on social media and asked drivers to avoid the area for a while. Please use another route, the department posted on X, and no, you cannot help clean up. They're like, "We would be happy." They're like, "Wait a minute, none of that is natural ice." We'll take the lot of it. Why not just let that college students have them? Honestly, like, y'all pick them up. I don't feel like messing with it. Just I'm not a beer drinker, so hard pass. Now, if it was, a wine truck, we'd be having different issues. All the moms in the area would be like, we can help. We have a Pinterest board and we have dream boarded ideas of how to help. And we will be down there with straws. No worries." And I even see some Coronas, so get some limes. I mean, this would be picked up in 10 seconds. Well, I mean, I don't know. Beer always tastes like bread water, bread soda to me. I don't get it. I know it's an acquired taste, but if I have to acquire a taste for something in order to eat it, eh. Any hoozle, guys, I am going to let you guys go. I think, redirect you to my own video. So we will be back with cross stitch or court and cross stitch. We will be going back to the Michigan versus MGB case. I am slowly working on the Ballad of Man Bun clips, and uh, I only work with the dead clips, so I will be the next Baker. It's just taking me a lot longer than Baker. He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna get these clips out at the end of the day." And I'm over here, "How would one do that?" And then I'm over here, "Okay, research, hunt and peck." So, it's happening, just a little slow. I will see you guys at 9:30. I'm gonna set things up. I have a new place for the camera, so we'll see if that works, and I am getting new camera tripods that should be more mobile, so we are all feeling good. Yes, I will be pulling out the, entire video of, the Ballad of Man Bun, if you just wanna see that particular witness's testimony. So, I will be putting out a video of his greatest hits with that, but yes, the Ballad of Man Bun, My Feelings, Your Honor, will be coming out. I just have to figure out how to piece, the overseer lady from Monsters, Inc. in between this guy just having all the pouty faces, because if her face didn't say anything, the judge was like, "Why are we here? Get me out of here." Have a lovely day, guys. I will see you, if not during, court and cross stitch, then tonight for Nightly Newsy News, and we will be dealing with all the crazy news that comes out today. So I hope to see you there at 7 PM tonight, Eastern Daylight Time, because we're about to fall back soon, I hope, for the love of Cheetos. Bye, you guys.